So hello and welcome to my video of changing the rear bumper, rear mudguard even, on my Brompton. There she is, known in my family as Betty. Unfortunately, we've got this mudguard here that's been split, and that's come from just hauling it in and out of trains and folding it up and colliding with luggage racks and things. So yeah, it lasted a couple of years, but when it does break like this, I've discovered that this bike really does throw water up your backside in a very nasty way when it's raining. So anyway, I've got this new part here, and the reason I'm doing a video about it is because the mountings are quite difficult to get to, and it's going to mean dropping the rear wheel off, I think. So I thought I'd document that in case somebody else finds it helpful. So I'm going to set the camera up on a tripod and give it a crack. Okay, first thing you want to do pretty much with anything is release the tension in the chain, and the way we're going to do that is unlock the bike. I'm just going to let that hang down so we can get access to the bottom there. We're going to take the gear selector off. So can I do that by hand? No, it's too tight. I'm just going to get some pliers. Right, this is going well. So we're going to just hold this, give it a tweak. There we go, that's released it. And what I'm going to do is leave the, I don't know what you call that bit, you know what I mean, the locking nut in place, because I don't want to lose my gear setting. And we're going to back this off until it disconnects. So that's removing the gear linkage from the Sturmy Archer hub. I should have said this is a standard 3-speed. And then the gear selection just pulls this, that's how that works. Oh, that's well messy in there. All this stuff about wet wipes. I used to use wet wipes a lot on bike maintenance. The best things ever, but I try not to now. It's just not good for the planet. So yeah, I've got to remove the chain tensioner, which I'm guessing is a 15mm. Oh yeah. There we go. Slacken that off and back this off. We're about to be exposed to loads of parts that absolutely have to be in the right order. You can undo this part first, that's right. I've remembered now. There we go. So let's see, undo this. So we've got the outer thing and a washer, and that's enough to release the assembly that tensions the chain. So that should come off like so. Great. Put the wheel back up. Right now we've got no chain tension. Stick it back up, and we can drop the rear wheel out now because the chain's nice and loose, and we can get access to the actual wheel nut on both sides, which will mean it'll just drop out. Can't remember what size spanner it is. It is 15. Okay, so we're just going to unlock this. I think it's just the Sturmy Archer ones, but they've got this locking tang that locks into the frame here. No need to go crazy and take it all off. There's enough length on the shaft to just be able to back off this locking nut, and then it should just drop out. Go on to the other side, do the same. Oh blimey, that's a bit tight. Yep. Back that away with a screwdriver. Okay, making sure it doesn't drop off onto my foot. Anyway, there we go. So I've just eased the locking washer away, so it's going to drop out of the frame. and I don't know if there's enough brake clearance. So tell you what, so I'm being a bit lazy and I don't want to take the cable off the brake if I can avoid it. So because there's quite a bit of wear on the pad, I've got this one backed right out. So I'm just going to screw this back in. This is for the rear brake pad wear adjuster. And hopefully that's given me enough extra clearance here to be able to drop the wheel out. So let's have a look. Okay, just check that's released. Ooh, just about, just about, look at that. Nice. So we've got a 2.5mm Allen key on the top, and we've got a 7mm socket on the bottom. Oh, actually, no, that is the broken mudguard. There we go. It's an entirely snapped off piece. So this part sandwiches from the bottom of this frame and holds the bars up against the mudguard, and then the wheels just sit on the top. It looks like this whole thing's just rotating. I thought that would back off to drop this off, but it doesn't look like that's the case. The whole thing's just coming off in one piece. Okay. Lots of bits to make sure you keep them in the right order. Split washer there. I do love the design of the Brompton. Quite often you look at something on it and you take it apart and you think, why is it like that? It's pretty clever. It's amazingly clever design. But there are a lot of parts that have to be done the right way. This is one of those moments you just don't want to be dropping them on the floor. So we've got a dished washer that sits against the frame. This one. That's the one that sits against the frame. Then we've got the mudguard, and then we have this second washer. So it goes frame, then the dished washer, then the mudguard, then this standard washer, and then the brake assembly. That leaves just this one. And so we're going to undo these. Again, little tiny washers. All there for good reason. And this one. That was just this part that dropped off the bottom, which obviously is the retaining clip for this support. So that should be free, and it is. Nice. Little stainless steel bracket there, and that's it for this mudguard now. Yep. There's nothing on there that's needs to come off. Nope. Wow, it's really battered. My goodness. Let's get the new one. Typical, isn't it? I undo the new mudguard, and then there's instructions. Great. Okay. Let's see now. So this is going to have to drop in here. Looks good. Yeah. Well, looks like it's going to fit. Just went to get a spot of grease. I'll just apply to this because it looks like a part that is quite subject to corrosion. I like to use quite a thick marine grease on bikes. I tend to encounter a lot of wet weather. What am I doing? It was washer, then mudguard, then dishwasher. dishwasher. There you go, that's it. That's located now. And I think before I tighten that up, I'll mount these others first. And then, because then it's got some movement then. I'm not stressing the new parts very much. There you go, stainless flat bracket with this screw in it. I'll drop that in the top. And then underneath you've got this clip. Lovely. Drop that in and how tight should we do it up? Tight enough, but no more. This is attempt number 1. This is the kind of job that just ends up everything just dropping on the floor. Hello, Roofy. I'd imagine these want to be fairly tight. Get a lot of vibration back here. Yeah. Good. Just recheck the tension on these. Yep. Okay, we've got the frame. Is that going to sit there? Just about. So it goes frame washer, washer, split washer, finally this backstop thing. It's a weird looking component, but it's quite smart. What it does is when it's in its folded position, the seat post comes down and butts up against this dish shape here. I won't tighten that up completely because that will govern how central the brakes sit. So we need to get the rear wheel in first before we do that. So quick edit there. Reason being because I wasn't paying much attention. When fitting the rear wheel, notice that here, for some reason, it says top. It's sided. This bracket is subtly not symmetrical, so it can only go in one way. So I was faffing around for a couple of minutes and realised I had it in upside down. Anyway, we'll pop the chain around this here, and hopefully this time the shaft here is actually flat on the sides and those mate with the frame here, so it has to be all orientated the correct way. There it is. And once that's in, squeeze the wheel against the brake up here to pull it into the frame as much as possible. And we want our 15mm spanner. Just gently hold it in place. That looks pretty central. Just having a look down the top here to make sure it's looking like it's in the middle. Yeah, it looks all right. Good. So I'll give it a bit of tightening. Okay. The chain tensioner we need to fit when the system's slack, so I just drop it down like this. This part here I cleaned, although you wouldn't know it. So the chain routing goes up like so, and then this is the main tensioning point. I don't mean that. the main jockey wheel that holds the chain against the rear sprocket. It just squeezes on like that. This nice big washer sits on the outside, and then this part, which is the guide for the gear change, just finger tight for a second. We've got to locate the chain around this. Just double check to make sure I've got it right, so I lift it up. Yep, fine. Just a little tighten up. Doesn't want to be too tight because obviously this is plastic what it's holding on. But enough so it feels solid. Now, I haven't actually tightened up my brakes yet, so I've got that 10mm spanner, and what I'm going to do is take the adjustment back out of the brake blocks. What I want to do is make sure that the brake caliper is seated and locked off perfectly centrally, because you don't want to be applying the brakes and having one side contact the wheel rather than both together. So holding the brake on, I'm just going to nick this up. Need to be too tight because it's got a split washer in it. It's not going to go anywhere, and I can see that when I apply the brakes the rim's actually being pulled this way. That's natural because I was tightening it this way, so it's naturally biased the brake towards you, towards the camera. So I'm just going to push it the other way slightly. See if that works. No, it's not moved. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see now that I can apply the brakes and the rim doesn't move. Perfect. Right. Fiddly Sturmy Archers. That's latched. I'm trying to do this up but without moving this. It actually, you tighten it right up, you'll notice that it probably won't align up. So what I do is I tighten it up completely, but don't tighten it up hard. You just want to feel to the end of the thread and then back it off one turn so it's got some freedom of movement. And then reconnect this part here, which I need to just give myself some slack. So put it in top gear, which is its natural gear, and then this incidentally, if you do lose adjustment, the sort of very, very rough and ready rule of thumb is it's just in top gear the system is slack but with no play, so it's just slack like this. The more accurate adjustment is if you look through the top here. It's actually it's worth having a look. Let's see if I can do this. So yeah, looking through the top here you'll see if I pull this, there's there. This is what looks like the solid piston just starting. So gear number 2 is when that piston just appears. So you can adjust this so that in gear 2, which I'll select it at the front, is just where that piston just starts to appear. And as you can see, yes, it is just slightly proud of the shaft within which it sits. And that's calibrated to be gear number 2 on a 3-speed system. Don't know about the others. It's quite a nice, easy way of doing it. So I'll just check that. That's gear 1, gear 2, and gear 3. Brake. Quick review of the tools used. So I had some degreaser for a bit of cleaning, bit of corrosion protection with some water resistant grease, some general tools just to help me remove bits and pieces as I went along, but the main tools were 15mm 10mm spanner, 2.5mm hex, and a 7mm socket. That was it. Pretty straightforward, really. Hope that's helpful.